What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA 06, featuring that next mod. In last episode, we saw the unveiling of the 2014 bracket, the 24 teams that will determine who will eventually be the national champion down here at the FCS college football level. That being said, though, we have an action-packed episode as we're doing the FCS playoffs a little bit different. Everything is going to be lumped into one episode, one action-packed episode to decide who's going to win this national championship here in year number 6. And I truly hope you guys are really excited for it. So, in that case, if you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button if you have to be brand new and you like sports simulation gaming, particularly in that college football sphere. And with that being said, let's not waste any more time and dive right into that playoff action. So we kick things off here in the first round of the FCS playoffs, starting with Eastern Kentucky taking on the champions of the Ivy League, the Yale Bulldogs. And Yale, they put up a really valiant effort, up 19-14 at the half even so. But Eastern Kentucky, they just had that extra gear, and Yale just did not have that. They were the lesser team in this game, and Eastern Kentucky does end up winning 28-19. They will take on the number 1 seeded Southeast Missouri State Redhawks in round number 2. As for James Madison, they were actually without their starting quarterback. Heinz Heinlein did end up getting suspended for the first round matchup, but they take on the Tulane Green Wave. The 24 seeded Tulane Green Wave 49-27 as Skinner ends up going for 7 touchdown passes over the course of this game. As for the number 13 seeded Montana Grizzlies, they took on the number 20 seeded San Jose State Spartans, and the Montana Grizzlies winning 32-20 as that defense was absolutely vicious, even getting a safety in this game. They will move on to take on the number 4 seeded Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. After that, we do end up with our first upset in this tournament as Chattanooga beats Portland State in a shootout, 55-28 being your final score, as Mark Spicer was spicy in this one, 386 yards and 4 total touchdowns on the day. So it will be the Mocs that move on to the second round, taking on the Delaware Blue Hens. And speaking of upsets, we do get another one with the Akron Zips taking Sacramento State to overtime in the first round of the FCS playoffs, and Akron wins. They actually beat Sacramento State 36-33. A stunning way for Sacramento State and a painful way to see your season come to an end. But it will be the Akron Zips moving on to the second round, taking on San Diego State in that second round. As for Grambling State, they make their first FCS playoff appearance. They were sent into the slaughter. They took on North Dakota State, and the Bison win 37-17 ends up being your final score, as the Bison entire team was just too much for Ray Waddle and company to handle. But a good learning experience for Grambling State, though, as North Dakota State moves on to the second round of the playoffs. However, we do have our fair share of blowouts, as New Hampshire, they were only a 19 seed even though they lost 2 games. They beat UNLV 44-7. They took that frustration out in a big way. Bruno Baggio only threw the ball 20 times, but still found a way to have 4 touchdowns in the first half. He was pulled to get some backups, a little bit more experience. And the final first round matchup that we did end up seeing was a rematch between Nicholls State and Georgia Southern. Now, these two teams did play against each other in week number 5, and Georgia Southern will actually not get their revenge as Nicholls State wins 27-17, which means this Nicholls State Colonels in their first not their first FCS playoff appearance, their second one in 2 seasons, well, they're going to the second round and take on the Northwestern State Demons, who are going also in their very first FCS playoff appearance. So just in a blink of the eye, we've already narrowed down from 24 teams down to just 16 squads that still have the chance to win that national championship. And we saw a healthy amount of upsets in the first round. 4 of the 8 lower seeded teams, well, actually 3 of the 8 lower seeded teams did end up winning their first round game. So again, a healthy number of upsets for sure. And if this keeps up throughout the course of the tournament, we should be in for one wild ride as we get closer to crowning that national champion. And now, let's go ahead and check out the scores of the second round of the FCS playoffs. But now we move into the second round of the FCS playoff matchups, and we start with our 16-1 matchup where Southeast Missouri State was put up against their fellow conference opponent, the Eastern Kentucky Colonels, and Tyler Johnson with a heroic performance, throwing for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns, also getting 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter in order to win 24-17. In the Southeast Missouri State Redhawks, they will be taking on the James Madison Dukes in the quarterfinals. They had a very epic matchup in their game against Western Carolina, and it looks like there will be a new national champion as James Madison wins 38-27. Willie Beeman Jr. put together a heroic performance though, throwing for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns. As for Northern Arizona, they move on to the quarterfinals as well as they take down their also a fellow conference opponent, the Montana Grizzlies. Northern Arizona wins 45-38 as Tyrone Wolf throws for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns over the course of this football game. And it looks like Northern Arizona will be having a Cinderella that they got to go up against in the quarterfinals as Chattanooga stunning Delaware 42-14. Mark Spicer again bringing the spices in this second round playoff game, throwing for 386 yards and 4 total touchdowns on the day. Chattanooga with the biggest upset so far in the FCS playoffs. As for the bottom half of the FCS championship bracket, we start with San Diego State taking on the Akron Zips, and the Aztecs will remain undefeated. As of right now, they win 29-24 in their game against the Akron Zips, so the number 2 seed moves on to the quarterfinals. And as for who they will face in the quarterfinals, that'll be North Dakota State as they win a shootout 42-35. This is a great what if. What if Henry Paris, the sensational quarterback for the Skyhawks, actually played in this game? Was still a very competitive game. 42-35 was your final score, but North Dakota State, they don't care about those what ifs as they will move on to the quarterfinals of the playoffs. They'll be taking on San Diego State in the quarterfinals. And as for the last couple of second round matchups, we got Eastern Michigan. They will remain undefeated on the season. They were pushed to the edge though. They took on New Hampshire in this game. New Hampshire, I thought, was a little bit better than the number 19 seed, but didn't prove it on the field today. Eagles win 31-27 off the back of 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, and it's a brutal way for New Hampshire Wildcats to end their season. As for who Eastern Michigan will play, they will take on the Northwestern State Demons. They were the number 6 seed in this tournament. They took on a fellow conference opponent, Nicholls State, who did pull the upset on Georgia Southern, but Northwestern State will not be denied in this game. Great quarterback duel, but the Demons win 46-43. Absolute classic of a game. They'll move on to the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs. So again, we narrow down this playoff field even further, already down to just 8 teams that will actually be competing for a national championship. We'll go ahead and start things out with James Madison, the 9 seed, taking on the number 1 ranked Southeast Missouri State Redhawks, followed by one of the Cinderellas in this tournament, Chattanooga. They're here as a number 21 seed. Can they repeat what Delaware did last season and pull the upset on Northern Arizona, who's here as a 4 seed? In the bottom half of the bracket, meanwhile, we do have North Dakota State, the number 10 seed, taking on the San Diego State Aztecs, who come in ranked number 2 in this FCS playoff field. And finally, we have a chalk matchup between the Northwestern State Demons at number 6 taking on the Eastern Michigan Eagles, who are representing that MAC conference as well. Should be a fun quarterfinals. And without further ado, let's jump in to the gameplay leading up into who gets those semifinal spots. So let's not waste any more time and jump right into the quarterfinal action here in the FCS playoffs, and a great matchup to start the quarterfinals. Southeast Missouri State, that number 1 seed, well, they're taking on that James Madison squad that's at 9 seed. And I'll tell you what, both of these teams have elite rosters from a talent perspective, and I could definitely see both of these teams winning the national championship. They're that good, and it could go either way. So let's see who wants it more as we start out with Travis Johnson, the senior custom quarterback, throwing it into the end zone. A touchdown for the Southeast Missouri State Redhawks, allowing them to take a quick 10-0 lead. And then to end the first quarter of action, Moore is actually going to fumble the football, and that is going to be recovered by the James Madison Dukes. Something that was much needed, as Hines Heinlein, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, he goes to work as he'll throw a dot into the end zone. Throws one up to Brad Drowsy, and it ends up being caught. So still a 10-7 game right now, as Brad Drowsy, you think he wants to win a national championship in his senior year? Well, that is just an elite level of effort there. That was insane. And now 14-10 is your score. Johnson going to hand the ball right up the middle and finds Moore in the end zone. That's a touchdown for the Redhawks. A 1-yard touchdown run gives them the lead. And it all comes down to the fourth quarter. Who wants to move on to the semifinals? Hines Heinlein in the shotgun formation. Goes play action. Throws one up to the left-hand side and finds Brad Drowsy. And James Madison has the lead. They have the lead against the number 1 seed. Can they hold for 2 more minutes? Johnson looking for an answer, and he gets it. He gets the answer that he was looking for. And now it's the Redhawks who have the lead as well. Heinlein's been dealing all day today. 373 yards. Can he get more than that? But an unfortunate error, as Brad Drowsy just dropped it. He just dropped the pass, and Scarlone was just in the right place at the right time. And now Redhawks with a chance to put this game on ice, and it looks like they will. 10-yard touchdown run to ice the game. And you know what? How about a little bit more icing on the cake? Another touchdown for the Redhawks late as they return Hines Heinlein's interception back to the crib. So a great game by both squads, but Southeast Missouri State is able to pull away, and the Redhawks will win by a final score of 38-21, which will give them the opportunity to move on to the semifinals of the FCS playoffs. A well-fought game by both teams. Well, now we'll go ahead and see who they will go up against in the semifinal. Will it be the Chattanooga Mocs, who have been the Cinderella story thus far, or will it be Northern Arizona? Northern Arizona putting in that hard work, a number 4 seed in this tournament. They look good in their previous matchup, but Chattanooga, they've been rolling. They just blew out Delaware, who was the Cinderella last year. Now it's had the tables flipped on them. So now Northern Arizona will see if they can get in to the semifinals, led by Tyrone Wolf, who wants his first points of the game. Rolls right, but it's going to be intercepted. So Chattanooga looking to try to take advantage early of the turnovers. We'll see if they can do that. Spicer drops back, looks to the right inside. He's got a receiver. It's going to be Mike Thomas downfield. No one's going to catch him either. And the Chattanooga Mocs will get the scoring going with a 72-yard touchdown pass. And they'll take a 7-0 lead. How does Tyrone Wolf respond, though? He'll throw to right hand side. He'll throw another interception. A tough performance thus far for Tyrone Wolf, but this one hurts even worse as it leads directly to a pick six. And how about not one pick six? Well, how about two pick six? Tyrone Wolf throws 3 interceptions in this first half, and Tyrone Wolf has been wonderful all season. Been a big reason why they got this far in the playoffs. You think it might be time to look towards Tyler Murray? I don't know, but Spicer wants to extend this lead even further. Last minute of the first half, Spicer, all the time in the world, but tries to get the ball out to Mike Thomas and throws the ball behind him. Imagine that, bro. Imagine throwing the ball behind him. And it leads to a Northern Arizona field goal. Futai, the custom recruit at kicker, does at least get Northern Arizona on the board. So, thought it would carry a little bit of momentum, but, well, that's not what happened here. Chattanooga, they not only maintain their lead, but they actually do kind of extend it a little bit. They're up 28-3 in the fourth quarter. Now, this could be right where Northern Arizona won some before Tyrone Wolf goes off, and Tyrone Wolf does throw a great ball over the middle of the field, does lead to the only touchdown that Northern Arizona gets, but obviously way too little too late as Chattanooga, they continue to shock the college football world. They beat Northern Arizona 31-10, and they are also going to the semifinals of the FCS playoffs. As we go check in on the bottom half of this FCS playoff bracket, where North Dakota State, they're coming off a close shootout victory against Tennessee Martin. We'll see what they're capable of as they take on the undefeated San Diego State Aztecs, who are just coming off of their second round win over the Akron Zips. And San Diego State is led by their Heisman Trophy quarterback, Austin Dodd. Probably will be on his way to the NFL at any given moment. As now, we'll see Garrett Keefe try to go to work. Throw over to the right-hand side, but is intercepted, though. And just overthrew his receiver. That's what it barrels down to. Tony Bennett's going to get the interception there. And Aztecs will march down. They will not get into the end zone. They will get a short field goal attempt, though. Looks like just a 25-yard field goal. Does sing it right through. It's a 69-yard drive, which is very nice, by the way, if I say so myself. But North Dakota State, closing moments of the first half, they get the ball off to their running back, and the running back's going to get what turns out to be the only touchdown of the game. North Dakota State, they made this a very dirty game, and Bison took advantage. They win a defensive slugfest. They beat San Diego State 13-6, and while it wasn't pretty at any point in the game, they are moving on to the next round. So who have the pleasure of taking on the North Dakota State Bison in the semifinals of the FCS playoffs? Could go in either direction, but we will check in on the number 6 seeded Northwestern State Demons, who are actually making their first FCS playoff appearance. Very good playoff team so far. They beat Nicholls State back in the second round, and they're taking on Eastern Michigan, still undefeated. They survived against New Hampshire. New Hampshire known for their explosive offense as well. Let's see if they can clinch that. As Jeremiah Hoodie is going to go ahead, hand it off to the star tailback, Bo Arias, the senior, playing in his final collegiate games here. He's going to punch it into the end zone. That's a touchdown for the Demons. And now Northwestern State with a 7-6 lead before Jeremiah Hoodie throws this one up into the air. That's caught, and the Demons taking an early lead, 14-6. As Jeremiah Hoodie's playing extremely well too. We'll see if Ryan Lee can answer back. He's the quarterback for Eastern Michigan. And instead throws an interception. Not only an interception, but this will be taken all the way back to the crib. That's a touchdown for the Demons. And right before the halftime break as well. Last thing that you wanted to do before halftime, give the team that's already ahead even more momentum, right? Just something that, you really just don't want to do there, but they did it anyways. So Jeremiah Hoodie, he's going to look to continue to play this game strong, and he's playing great football right now. Jeremiah Hoodie, he's really matured as a quarterback. That time spent behind Matt Lewis, who was the previous quarterback for the Demons, really turning into fruition here as the Demons up 28-12 late in the fourth quarter. Leak trying to engineer a comeback, but gets intercepted, and that will be taken back all the way to the end zone. That's Jeremy Zeiger with the pick six. Now it's 35-12 as the Demons are running away with this game. Now, this game was a little bit closer than what the scoreboard shows, but after another pick six, it turns into a 30-plus point win for Northwestern State. And they will be the ones that will actually be taking on the North Dakota State Bison in the second round of the FCS playoffs. So after what we saw transpire in the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs, this is now what your bracket is looking like. Chattanooga as the notable Cinderella, but let's see who goes to the national championship game. Red Hawks and Chattanooga will be coming up first, and then you guys will then see North Dakota State taking on the Northwestern State Demons. We'll see if the Demons in their first FCS playoff appearance can also make it to the national championship. Here comes the semifinal highlights. So with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the semifinal games in the FCS playoffs. And we start with the number 1 seeded Southeast Missouri State Red Hawks. They will come out onto the field first, and they will be taking on that Cinderella darling in this tournament. They will be taking on the Chattanooga Mocs, coming in number 21 seeded team in this tournament. They made it all the way here to the semifinals of the FCS playoffs. But can they pull the ultimate shocker in terms of upsets? We'll have to wait and see, but all things considered, we're going to go ahead and kick things off and officially get things underway between Chattanooga and Southeast Missouri State. And how about this kick to start things off down the sideline, and Chattanooga is going to score. The Mocs get into the end zone in the first 10 seconds of the game. 7-0 is your score. But late in the first quarter, though, Southeast Missouri State, they will eventually strike back. And they do with Ken Trill, one of your guys' customs. Pick six makes it a tie ball game. But jumping in late into the first half, we will see some revenge from Mike Thomas. In his senior season, he'll score, making it 14-10. And Southeast Missouri State cannot answer, so they actually have to punt the football away. They get it back over to Mike Thomas, who's already got a touchdown today. Runs away from the big hog. Molly's on the offensive line, and he'll score on special teams as well. And Chattanooga, don't look now, but they have a 21-10 lead. And here can Southeast Missouri State answer back? They need their senior quarterback, Travis Johnson, to play extremely well. And it's not looking good, guys. An interception thrown by Travis Johnson late in the game. It's going to set up this Chattanooga offense inside the 30-yard line as Spicer drops back. He's going to throw to the right-hand side and finds his receiver. Another touchdown for Chattanooga as they open up the lead, 28-10. Now your score. Johnson looking to try to answer back. He threw an interception on the previous possession, though. Does the senior have what it takes? They go play action, but he fumbles the ball. The ball is on the ground, and Chattanooga recovers. They will use that to chip in a 27-yard field goal, so it remains a free possession game. But now that lead is extended by 21 points. And in the fourth quarter becomes desperation time. Need to convert on a 4th and 10. Travis Johnson, he's going for it. Oh, he's going to catch it. This guy's going to catch it. He'll score. So now just a 2-possession game. Johnson looking to try to lead a comeback here possibly. And it looks like it's going to be taken all the way back to the end zone. Not for the Red Hawks. Oh no, we're talking about the Chattanooga Mocs. The Mocs are going to make this a 21-point lead. 3 minutes left to play in the game, though. Really not looking good for the number 1 seed in the tournament right now. Can Johnson lead a miracle? Finds his receiver, though, and he's going to make some guys miss. So that will make things a little bit interesting. Now just a 2-possession game, but less than a minute left to play in this ball game. Johnson got to throw downfield. He wants a big shot. He's going to get a big shot from his guy. And it's going to get real interesting now. 1-possession game. 46 seconds left in the national semifinal. They have to get this onside kick, though. They're out of timeouts. Can Southeast Missouri State pull the miracle? And it looks like Chattanooga, they're going to recover. It's recovered by Marco Walker. And it's over. Chattanooga continues the Cinderella story as it's not midnight yet. Chattanooga is going to win 38-31. And with that final buzzer, they will stun the number 5 team in the bracket, the number 4 team in the FCS playoffs, and now the number 1 team in college football, Southeast Missouri State. It's over for them too. So who will the Chattanooga Mocs come up against in the national championship game? We got North Dakota State taking on the Demons of Northwestern State, a chalk 3-6 matchup. Since San Diego State could not make it out to the semifinals. I actually think pretty sure, yeah, they lost in the quarterfinals. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Both teams very talented squads, as we got Davis being highlighted for Northwestern State. First playoff appearance for them, by the way. They are only 1 game away from a national championship appearance. Can Jeremiah Hoodie bring them to the promised land? But he's going to be intercepted instead. It's Jim Sato down the sideline. The sophomore only being chased by Morris, but he cannot have the real estate to bring him home. And Jim Sato, with his 3rd interception of the season, does get the scoring going. And it'll be courtesy of a pick 6 that makes that happen. So a 7-0 lead for the North Dakota State Bison. However, Northwestern State, they're going to be looking for an answer. They might have one in their senior tailback, Bo Arias, down the sideline. He's got space to move and runs away from multiple customs in the process. Touchdown, Demons. And that is all the scoring that happens in the first half. So we'll jump into the second quarter. Demons with a 3-point lead, and hang on now. We got a 2-yard touchdown run. Bison are going to take the lead with a 4-point lead. 42 seconds left in the ball game. Hoodie drops back, looks to the right hand side, but he fumbles the ball. Jeremiah Hoodie cannot hang on to it. And now the Demons are going to have to use all of their timeouts and hope for a 3-and-out, which they do end up getting, but Bison will trot out their field goal team, and they will chip in a 23-yard field goal attempt. 17-10 now going to be your score, and that will possibly be your final score as well, depending on what Jeremiah Hoodie does. Last play of the game at the 48-yard line. Got to heave it up, but he doesn't have the time to get it out there. Can't make a play, and that's how this thing is going to end. North Dakota State is going to the national championship. So this is what your championship bracket is looking like at this point in the FCS playoffs. And we got 2 teams waiting for the national championship. North Dakota State and Chattanooga, who made it in as the lower seeded team in every single game that they've played in. That's an incredible run for Chattanooga. But let's see which one of these 2 teams will get their first national championship here in this series within year number 6. So let's see if the Cinderella has enough punches to win that national championship game. Chattanooga, North Dakota State, getting ready to duke it out in terms of hoisting that crystal ball that 119 teams sought after. And let's see who wants this game more. Gonna be a fun one here, man. I'm excited about this game as we got some very good players on both sides. Notably, Jerry Rice III, who leads the team in receptions and yards although there is some rumblings about him possibly going either up to the FBS level or going to the NFL possibly, but they got to worry about winning this game first. And Chattanooga, they're actually going to get the first punch in. They're going to actually force a safety, so they'll actually have a lead in the national championship game. Imagine saying that at the start of season number 6, but that does not last very long because Brian Winston, he's going to pick off Mark Spicer here, and he's going to take it all the way to the crib in order to score a touchdown, 61-yard strike, and now the Bison with a 7-2 lead. Start the second quarter, though, Mark Spicer drops back to pass. He's going to look over to the left-hand side, and he'll also get intercepted there. So already 2 turnovers for Mark Spicer as the Bison defense, well, they certainly came ready to play today. They are not messing around, and they are not finding out either. So the Bison with a 5-point lead already as they try to drive downfield. Garrett Peef will drop back the pass. He'll look for his favorite targets in Jerry Rice III, and that's a touchdown for North Dakota State. That's why Jerry Rice III is so highly touted, highly coveted. It's not just because of the name on his back. This is a guy that actually can play college football, right? So 14-2 lead already, and we have another fumble. This time it's recovered by Zachariah O'Brien. So a 14-2 lead as they'll kick a field goal to wrap things up in the first half, and they'll take a 15-point lead into the locker room. However, jumping into the second half of action, still about 3 minutes left to play in this third quarter. Keefe is going to throw yet another touchdown strike, and sometimes it's just better to be lucky than it is to be good. And I think that's a classic case of that. Ball was batted in the air. It was actually played pretty darn well, all things considered, but just didn't play it well enough. Just a little bit of bad luck there. And now Chattanooga's down by 22 points. They're looking like a team that barely made it into the playoffs, right? This might be the clock striking midnight. But Jerry Rice III puts the ball on the ground, and it's recovered by Chattanooga. And oh boy, did they really need that to try to engineer this comeback. Let's see if they got that dog in them in the fourth quarter. Down by 22. Spicer needs the 4th down conversion. Throws towards the end zone. Cut! Touchdown, Chattanooga! And they'll get the 2-point conversion as well. Now just a 2-possession game. Later on in the fourth quarter, 2:30 left to play. Needing another touchdown. They'll get another touchdown. They'll find Mike Thomas. And now just a 1-score game. They have the ball again. Spicer trying to go for the win. And he turns the ball over. North Dakota State with an interception, and that's going to seal it. North Dakota State, they will be your national champion here in year number 6 as they'll finish with a 14-2 overall record. So congratulations to the Bison on a well-deserved and well-earned victory here in the FCS playoffs. But over the course of this playoffs, we went from 24 teams going for a national championship. We do have that champion crowned, and like that video title says, we do have a new champ. New North Dakota State, they win their first national championship in this series. They go the distance and find a way to win it all. So congratulations to North Dakota State. And what that means is in the next episode of the FCS Dynasty, what we got going on is that we will go ahead, we'll go through the offseason. Granted, the offseason will be just a little bit more focused on your custom guides itself, so it might not be as deep as previous off seasons, but will still be a pretty good episode nonetheless as we continue to move forward. Looking at year number 7 now, I'm definitely excited about getting year number 7 in your direction. So guys, if you're excited about it, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button if you have to be brand new. I hope you enjoyed this playoff episode. And with that being said, this is John Shake Gaming on the mic signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.